All right, welcome back to another live episode of the Relationship Series. My name is Gina Spataro, and this handsome fellow over here is my brother, Sam Spataro. And once again, we are coming to you with matters of the heart and mind. And tonight's topic is based around significance. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up in Sam's report. It's because we feel like it's a common thread within relationships and the divide between feeling important, feeling lack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But really and truly, how important is significance? So we will get into that very shortly. But Sam, how was your week?
Well, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Since it's kind of like a question / vent / what the hell is really going on in the school system? So there's this kid that is in your nephew's class, my son's class,
Okay.
that smacks, hit, and came home Friday with scratches on his face. And I think it's been done.
Due to the child?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a meeting today about it, but the meeting wasn't really like, okay, here's what we're going to do to discipline this kid and yada, yada, yada. It was, okay, well, we're going to have a talk with the parents about this and go over strategies and like, what the fuck is going on? Whatever happened to like when a kid did something, they got put out in the hallway, or they had to do 100 lines, or they went home with a note, or they talked to the parent, or they sat at the principal's office, or they weren't allowed to go for reset. What's going on? I'm confused.
Fear. They know that discipline would probably be the action. However, there's fear between, because you got to think, like, who funds the schools?
The same people that funded it when we went.
Yeah.
The people of that community,
right,
fund the school, the taxpayer.
Yes. However, now society has changed. It's softer. People are more on their, I wouldn't even say like manners. It's more of people pleasing. So that's basically what it is. And people don't want to ruffle feathers. That's essentially what it is. Like, people don't want to ruffle other people's feathers, especially if, like, we've had parents come in and be like, oh, my child did this. Oh, you're not going to have anything in your room for 2 weeks. Like, this is not acceptable. You let me know what you need to do at the school. You have my permission, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where at other homes where it's a little bit more laxed. So it's like the 3 different types of parenting styles, right? Authoritarian, authoritative, and I can't remember the other one. However, so it's that happy medium where it's like, okay, what are the repercussions for something like this? Now, as a parent, you being a parent, what were you hoping would be done?
See the kid disciplined.
Right. And what would discipline look like?
Just like any normal parent would do. Or in my opinion, any normal teacher would do.
Right.
Like, I just don't understand where, like do we want more narcissists running around in this society? Is that what we're like teaching them? That okay, you know what? There's 1,000 chances before you need to understand that these types of behaviors are okay, and these are the consequences that come like that. In school, in society, in your place of work, in your relationships, like what type of anyway, it's frustrating because it's like, my wife was writing this long novel to send out, and I'm like, what the fuck are you writing? Like, all I want to know is, here's the problem. This has been happening more than once. Why is this still happening? And why has nothing been done about it?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. These are things that wouldn't be open for discussion when you and I were in school. But for some strange reason, everybody likes complexity and everything today in society. And we wonder why there's an issue with children today. Not all, but we wonder why there's a shift in change in the demeanor, the behavior, the respect, all sorts of things that are now coming out.
Starts
Yeah.
with
Anyways, well, yeah, we can say it's the parenting. Yeah, but there's always been parenting issues, right?
It's a little bit different now, though.
No. I totally disagree. There's always been parenting issues. When we go back when you're in a school, there's always those kids, right, that had issues. But here's the difference. If it happened in a class, the teacher would discipline. Okay.
Right. Who are teachers are fearful of now?
But this is what I'm saying. How do we this anyway, I don't want to get long about this. I just don't understand like why this is even a discussion.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with that. Like you're on a if you're on a hockey team, a sports team, you're part of some committee, whatever it is, there's a conduct, right? And we learn to become who we are through people that influence in our lives.
Yes.
Parents, teachers, coaches, whatever. And I just don't understand what the lesson is. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something. I know you don't think it's parenting, but a lot of parents don't want to invest the time in having these teachable moments for their children. Honestly, I mean, every teacher's different, and yes, a lot of teachers are very fearful of is the keys in dealing with this, because a lot of times, more so than not now, we do have students who have behavior issues, right? So you got to think to yourself, okay, this is reoccurring. Obviously, these are steps that we take. We're guided on what to do.
Well, right? Whoever is guiding you guys should be fired.
Yeah, but
it just doesn't make any sense.
You don't have a voice.
Hey?
Your voice needs to be stronger.
Here's we talk about this because of what you went through with your house and what you did and what you accomplished, right? But this continues. I'm gonna have to go there and be I'm very empathetic, but I can. If that was my kid, I want to know why didn't you do something about it?
Yeah.
Why didn't you discipline my child?
Yeah.
And stop his behavior. So if this kid wasn't going home with scratches, being pushed, punched, what are you doing? Who's telling you not to discipline and do something?
Yeah. I
don't understand where this fits in the world of helping a child.
It doesn't.
It's the moment a bad behavior is there's strategies for coping. Those are different strategies.
Yeah.
Right? But physical has to be a completely different spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? I told my kid, defend yourself. I don't care if it's a boy, it's a girl, whoever it is, once, twice, that's one thing. But I just don't understand why, what goes on in the classroom that you wouldn't immediately punish this child in the sense of detention, office, parent teacher meetings, maybe suspension, whatever it is. It's just you allow that behavior, and the ramifications for that behavior are significant.
Yeah.
Then that behavior continues, right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, I just needed to vent with that because
yeah, you did.
It just makes zero sense. It's like if one of you teachers were behaving incorrectly in your job, what would happen? Would these types of procedures be happening? I doubt it.
You'd be surprised.
If you're physical with another teacher?
Oh, no. If you're physical, it's different.
So then why is it okay for a kid to do it to another kid?
It's not.
Under your watchful eye.
It's not. Under our... Let me tell you, very often we got clipboards and other things flying at us, so...
Anyways, it's... I needed to vent. Frustrating moment.
Yeah, I get it. But my advice to you is have a voice in it.
Well, hey, it's...
Be louder.
Right?
Be louder than most.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Directive way. And just be look, if you're not sure on how to create some strategies, I would love to come in and sit down with you and the parents and to have some strategies put in place. I'm very good at that.
I don't care to see the parents. They're not the one getting paid to watch the kids, discipline the kids, and teach the kids.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, whoever is then saying, here's the policies and procedures that you guys are supposed to follow, and these are type of strategies, Well, let's talk to the people who are creating them because they're clearly not working and they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
They can be thrown in the waste bin.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking 10 minutes about these, non-existent strategies, but I totally feel you. I know exactly.
Anyway, back to our topic, as we just did a therapy session, where I feel a lot better about.
Good. Because you're not the only one that's feeling that. So.
Oh my God.
Totally get it.
Horrendous.
Yeah. So basically, this is your wheelhouse. The 6 human needs, but the reason why we're bringing up why significance is important in relationship, for a variety of reasons. One, significance, of course, there's a need for it to show up, just like any other human need. However, I feel as though people in relationships can't decipher what significance should look like and feel like versus an all about me mentality. Because I feel as though, that 5 love languages book?
Yeah.
Okay. So significance for each person in the relationship looks different. And sometimes we target significance to look towards someone else the way we would want it portrayed, right? So it's getting in touch with, the person that you chose and their need for significance, and not projecting your needs onto them. However, the battle between it all is when someone actually tries. So let's just say a relationship is coming to, a crossroad, and we're at that point are expressing, well, you don't do this. I don't feel like I used to feel. I don't feel like I'm important to you anymore, etc. And then that person tries to turn it around and do some things to create some significance. Is it too late by then? Is it too late to rekindle those emotions? Or do you think someone is just completely checked out to even try? What are your thoughts, Sam?
So I think there's a difference between feeling significant and trying to make someone be significant.
Right.
Right. So, and I think has to be a balance of both.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And let's face it, significance has to feel with being wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It has to feel with, to do with, someone who's seeking attention and making you feel noticed and wanted and important. Right. And I'd say that's probably the most challenging thing when it comes to relationships, because as time progresses, just like anything else in life, the validity of it, the importance of it, the newness of it fades, right? Because we, by human nature, become complacent a lot of the times. Not all, right, but I would say the majority of us do. And so that can play a lot in the lack of significance that we feel over time.
Right.
And there's a lot of key things that contribute to that are within the relationship, outside of the relationship. And, significance, really has to do and tie into a couple key things. And we obviously all have 6 human needs.
Right.
And to make someone feel significant could be that, that makes them feel loved. It can make them feel that, they're connected to, the relationship and you, and more than just the job and the kids and the friends and everything else that comes along with it. And so I think really what it comes down to when it comes to, here's something really important. I coached a guy who's in his mid 40s, and for a while felt very stale in a relationship, and we can call that insignificant. Partner wasn't really going out of their way to make them feel noticed and important, and they started on a new adventure, and they started to feel significant again, but it was coming from outside the relationship. And maybe a lot of people are doing that today because of social media, or in their place of work, or maybe it's at the gym, or maybe it's with a set of friends, whatever it is that it might be. And so where does significance really play into this all? I think it's sort of like, we can call it selfishness. We can call it the opposite of selfishness, which is, to give to one, um, and to make them, a place of importance before yourself or their needs, whatever it might be. I think there has to be a balance of both. It's, I need to feel significant while making the other person feel significant well. So that means I have to understand what their needs are so that they can then understand what my needs are. And the only way that happens, I think really we all get that crossroad when it comes to relationships because we have that inability to communicate.
Yeah.
Right? We communicate not through how we're truly feeling, which does come from the heart, but at that moment of that crossroad, we deal with it with the mind, and we do, a lot of the time certain behaviors that, we kind of think are, pretty significant in the sense that, hey, look at me, this is what's going on, I need your attention, rather than, lay it all line and be vulnerable and, share what you're really going through. And so, I think it's very important when you get involved in a relationship that you really have these conversations about the things that are important to you, that make you feel alive, that make you feel significant. So you understand right away how to meet one another's needs. Yeah, you're going to have that attraction at first. You're going to do all those things that are excitement and adventurous. But as time progresses and we all become complacent, unless you're a workhorse, it's something that you can always refer back to. And if you've been in a relationship for a while and you're at that crossroad, well, maybe have that conversation. And I know it's hard. We're not really taught, the greatest skills at how to communicate about our emotions. And this goes back to being little kids, and when you're having those tantrums and, you don't know how to process your emotions and you're trying to self-regulate, and you're told to stop whining, stop crying, go to your room. And here you are in a relationship dealing with these childlike ways to self-regulate and communicate what sort of is going on in your head and in your heart, and you don't know how. And so we do it a lot of the times through things that aren't helpful, aren't useful. However, we think that they should get the cue, right? And so, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this?
I think just like anything, once you become aware of it and the importance of it, it's making time for it. And sometimes you literally have to schedule it in. It's like, okay, whoever's important to you in your life, and you can even do this with children too, right? Where it's like, are you making your children feel significant personally? And validating that too, because there comes a point where it's like there's an overabundance of it where it's not authentic anymore and you're just doing it because you think that's what they want. No, it has become authentic. So, for example, in my women's group, we're going through, like I said, the 6 human needs, and their homework for significance was finding someone. It could have been an intimate relationship, a friendship, a family relationship, that maybe someone they knew could use a little bit more attention or significance. And it's simple little things. Like, people think it has to be grand gestures, right? Like they have to go out of their way and spend money or, take someone out. But so what one of the ladies did was, she rants and raves about how smart her husband is. So she complimented him on specific things that he did and accomplished. Not just like, oh, that looks good, but she was very specific about it. And she bought him his favorite chocolate. And throughout the week, he was like, what is he loved it. And he didn't really know why it was happening, but she noticed his mood changed too. So once you understand it and the importance of it, it's finding pockets within your week or even within your month to be like, okay, tonight's the night where I'm going to make the person I love the most or the people I love the most feel significant. And not only are you doing it, they will understand and in return do something that you wouldn't expect. It really is like a trickle effect. It ends up happening. But like Sam said, I mean, it could be the need for attention or self-esteem boost or an ego thing. Understand the difference where it's coming from. It's coming from an authentic place or it's coming from a need or a desire, right? But if it's authentically happening and, balanced, just like a lot of the other needs, I think it's a beautiful thing. And I mean, who doesn't like to feel significant with the person that they love the most? Imagine hearing something amazing or a compliment, that the person you love says to you. I mean, it lights you up. And you talk about that all the time, right? Lighting the person you love the most up. I can't remember what that quote was to or what that went around, but that's one thing that you should notice because we put so much attention, especially when people start having children. The attention goes on the children, and we forget about the people that we invested in first and making them significant in our lives. And it's so important because what happens is, you're right, the honeymoon period phase is over. People get comfortable and complacent and et cetera, et cetera. And they lose that part of them. And that's the laziness. That's um, the unawareness of how important it is to sustain relationships, just like the other 6 human needs as well. But yeah, I think it has an importance for sure.
Yeah, so I think when it comes down to when it comes to relationships and when it comes to the human need of being significant, a lot of the times, and I'm sure you could look back at times where you didn't feel that way.
Right.
And you didn't communicate directly.
Right.
We are human by nature, and through expectation in a relationship, we assume that they should understand how we're feeling, what we need from them by dropping little lines and hints and nudges and right.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not that intelligent,
Yeah.
right? So I think what it comes down to, if there's a few things, is number one, really understand why you are feeling insignificant in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not maybe, rather than having an expectation, communicating to your partner how you're feeling?
Right.
And I think that's the first step, is acknowledge the fact that you need to trade your expectations for the ability to start communicating to your partner about what's really important to you. We all have expectations in life for ourselves, for our partners, for our jobs, for our businesses, and all sorts of things. But it doesn't work in relationships. A lot of the times as relationships progress, you can wave, the picture right in front of your partner's face of, hey, look, here's what makes you feel significant. But their mind is off somewhere else, thinking about work, thinking about what happened today, where they have to go to the kids, lunch tomorrow, the problem at work, right? The power in life is communication. Mm-hmm. The more clear you can communicate, the more you can pierce somebody and make them understand how you're feeling and make that human connection, right? So if there's one way to start, whether you're just starting out or you've been in a relationship long-term, is start learning how to process your emotions, to process how you feel, then take the time to write down what is important to you. So you know what makes you feel important, and then trade your expectation, assuming that the other person should understand without you having to explain. That doesn't work. Yeah. There are people that are very intuitive and can read into that, but for the most part, a lot of people can't.
No.
And as time progresses, if you start to feel more insignificant, the relationship will deteriorate. The quality of time that you spend with one another will deteriorate. You will start to look elsewhere for attention that you don't get in the relationship, whether that's social media, friends, intimate partners, whatever. So I really think that is the emphasis here, is how do you feel significant in a relationship? Well, maybe the first thing is communicate to your partner what does. Find a way to just dive in and say, look, you know what? We need to have a chat. Here's what's important to me in the relationship that makes me feel happy, alive, energetic, intimate. And as you do that, then say, well, what's important to you, right? Have that line, write a list of things together. So you have that, you can keep it with one another. Maybe every day or every week you set a goal where once a day you take turns. One day one person is doing something, and the next day the other. So the more repetitious you do it, the more common it will be, because it'll become habitual. They say it takes 21 days to develop a new habit. So yeah, it's not going to be normal. It's going to probably feel uncomfortable and stupid and ridiculous. But if you can do it over time, there's a lot of areas of your relationship that will improve, and that'll ultimately fuel all the other areas of your life that will become better from that, right? So There's nothing worse than being in a relationship and feeling like a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the only way you can do that and dive into that human need of significance is you need to take the time to understand what does make you feel that way. And then trade that whole expectation that they should just know. Your partner should just know without you having to say a thing. Take the time to communicate and your whole relationship will transform.
Yeah, I think that was a great end to this broadcast. It's just transformation. It doesn't just have to begin, when you first start dating. It happens throughout the relationship. Transformations happen all the time. You're always evolving, always growing, understand each other's needs. How can you invest in them and they will invest in you, honestly. It takes time and effort and understanding, truthfully. So on that note, Sam, is there anything else you want to say before we log off?
No, I would just say for you people out there that are writing the policies and procedures of what teachers are supposed to follow, to relook at your books because they suck ass.
There you go. Okay, food for thought. Okay, maybe you should start taking. You know what? You can sit on a board, parent council.
Let me tell you something. We have a very good friend of ours who asked me to run for council, run for mayor, to be a part of it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
When I built my house, I had to go to a board meeting because I had to apply for something to do what we wanted with the house, and there was a big meeting there. And I sat there for a couple hours just listening to this panel of 12 people, and it was actually embarrassing. I think that kindergarten kids have a better capacity to problem solve than these grown adults that sat there for 2-3 hours bickering back and forth with no resolve. It just, to me, it makes no sense. And that's exactly what would happen here. I'm the very cut and dry person. It's, here's the problem. What are our strategies to solve this problem? Let's apply this and see what happens from that.
Yeah.
I can't be a part of, like, it's A, but let's talk about A to Z first. Like that, yeah, no, I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
Oh, trust me, this doesn't get resolved, I'll be going to school.
Well, good luck. On that note, this is the relationship series, always talking about the heart. Mind matters. Please support our channel by hitting the like, subscribe, and notification bell so that you can get further notice of when we are releasing our videos. All right, so have an awesome night, and we will see you all soon. Ciao.